Hello, welcome to episode 26 in the Datapack tutorial series. We're going to be making fairy jars that give off light, that's why it's dark again. This is based on episode 330 of the command block only tutorial series, where we had fireflies in the jars. Let me just show you what we're going to do. So, players running around, they're doing what they normally do. They find some glowstone dust. Boom, ooh, we've got a new recipe. I know it takes this stuff, so I'm picking it up as well. What's my new recipe? I can make a fairy jar. Okay, you can use any log, it doesn't have to be spruce log. And they get themselves a fairy jar. Let me put myself into survival. And you can pop your little fairy jar down. There we go. And you've got a nice little light, which you can turn off, or on, or off, or on. Or you can break it, get your jar back. There we go. Oh, well, cool. Now, you can obviously make as many as you like. You can't put fairy jars on top of each other. If I try and put one on top, it'll just give me the egg back. Try again. Boom. There we go. Put one here though. Off, off, on, on. Cool. There we go. Now it's going to be a bit of a long tutorial. You might want to do it in a couple of stages. Maybe have a break in the middle. Anyway, I'll stop waffling because it is a long one. Let's get on and build it now. Okay, I think we'll start inside VS Code today. If you don't know how to do your basic data pack, you can watch episode 1. And I'm going to start by adding some files that we'll fill in later. So let's have a give egg. This would be sort of an admin command, I think, because we'll have the players themselves actually just craft the egg. So let's have a give egg function. And I want to be able to turn the jar or the light on and off. So we'll have a new file and it will be jar click detect, and that's going to lead on to am I left clicking or am I right clicking. So I'll have a new file for each of those. Jar click left, and I'll have a jar click right. Jar click right. What else do we need? If the player puts down a marker, I want a jar to appear, so I'll have a function for that. I'll say jar place at marker. And then I'm going to have a ticking function. Oh, I don't actually have a tick there today. Okay, well, we better put that in then. I'll have a tick. And that's going to call a function to process the marker. So let's do, what should we call this one? A process marker tick will probably do. There we go. Right, so now I better make myself a tick function here, or a tick tag, I suppose. In Minecraft tags function, we've got our load, which is calling load. That's all right. But let's just copy the load one and rename it to tick. That'll do. Okay, we don't want you calling load though. We'll have you calling the tick function we just made. So IDYT26 tick, so IDYT26, then into function, and then tick. So that's going to run that one. Okay. We're also going to add an advancement and a loot table and a recipe, but I think we'll do those later when we need them. For now, I think I'll start with give egg. That seems like a good point. Now, I'm not really going to put any comments as I'm making this because I'll be commenting, but in the downloadable pack, as usual, there will be comments. When I say comments, I mean like doobity-doobity-doo stuff here, like that, explaining what each line is doing. So let's give the give at s the slime spawn egg. Okay, let's give it a bit of extra stuff. Let's give it a name equals apostrophes. Let's open up some curlies. In there we'll have a text, and I think I'll have a color as well, and a color. Okay, so I've decided to do color first, it seems. Let's give it color of gold. Let's give it a text of let's just say fairy jar. Okay, that seems happy. Now the most important thing I need is the entity data. What will this spawn egg create when I put it down? I want it to do ID, we'll say marker. Oh, it's not going to put in the namespace for me. I'm going to use the namespace. Probably better to. Marker. That's its ID. And I want it to have some tags. How many tags? I think I'll give it jar because it's going to be to do with the jar. So we'll give it jar. And I will give it jar place. Okay. Save. Let's pop back to Minecraft. And let's do a reload. In fact, what we should do, just to save time, I should have this here all the time. I always use it. Reload. And we'll just do reload in here. That'll save me typing it each time. Okay. Episode 26 is loaded. Let's check our functions. Function. They're all there, but obviously none of them work apart from giveEgg. So let's try giveEgg. I've got fairy jar. Let's do data get entity me selected item. Yeah, all looks good. Okay, let's press E and have a look at it. Fairy jar. Okay, now if I whack it down, nothing seems to happen. I'm in creative, so I didn't lose the egg. Let's turn on my little marker activator. Just does this at every marker. Okay, so we've definitely created a marker. Kill any entity whose type equals not player. Okay, let's turn that off. We know that was working. Right, let's go back. Okay, so we can put that down. What seems like a good thing to do next? I suppose let's get the jar working for using the egg. So let's go to the tick function. And in here, I think I'll put in a check to see if we click on it. Execute as any entity whose type equals Minecraft marker. Actually, no, we'll do this at the interaction. Interaction whose tag equals jar interact. And we will do that at itself. And that will run function click detect, our jar click detect. Okay, so obviously we don't have an interaction entity yet, but when we do and we click on it, it will go off to jar click detect. So we'll come back to that soon. And let's also do execute as any entity type equals marker. Let's do the autofill. Tag equals jar at s run function process marker tick. Okay. Now, what we could do in tick is we could say execute as Minecraft marker tag equals jar, and then place the jar, and then we could also have execute as type marker tag equals jar active, show some particles, but then we're going to have lots of these at e checks, and I want as few as possible in the tick function. So we're just going to have this one, and then we'll go to process marker tick. And in here, we will do particles. So let's do execute. Do we need to do, let's say at s. And remember, we are doing at s will be any entity Minecraft marker tag jar. So we're only finding it one time. Once we've got it, we're going to process marker and we'll keep using it. So what do we want to check for? Well, we already know it's a marker, but I'm going to check for a different tag. I'm going to say tag equals jar fly. That's going to be my little fly that's in, or my fairy, whatever, that's inside my jar. And I'm going to say tag equals active. So if it is active, we will run a particle. Let's do some dust. I always forget how to do dust. Curly's first, then color, then square, then we have RGB. So let's say 0 for red, full green, 0 for blue. And then is it scale? 1. Okay, so we'll be playing green dust at active jar flies at those coordinates. What do we want here? How big is it going to be? 0.1. Actually, let's make it really small. 0.05. 0.05. 0.05. And then we'll do no speed and 1. Okay, it's not happy because it's got an extra space. Okay, so if it is an active jar fly, we will be doing green particles. Let's copy that. Copy. Boom, boom. And let's just say if it doesn't have the active tag, let's do a different color particle. You can change this to anything you like. I'm going to say, let's just do black particles. So that should be no red, no green, no blue. Okay, so that should deal with the particles. Now we're going to do our creating the jar. So we'll execute as S, whose tag equals jar place, run function, jar place at marker. Okay, save that. So we're in our tick, we've put down the jar, we now have a marker on the ground that has two tags. It has jar tag and it has jar place tag. So our tick comes along here and says, yep, there's a marker with tag jar, I will go to process the marker tick. It goes to process the marker tick. It says, that's nothing to do with it. That's nothing to do with it. I will, jar place. I will do this one. And it goes off to jar place at marker. Let's go off to jar place at marker. Okay, this will be the long, annoying command because it's got all the transformation information, etc. The first thing I'm going to do is I want my jars aligned. And if there's already a jar there, I don't want to summon another one. So I'm going to execute align XYZ. That's going to take, let's have a bit look here. So that's going to move my execution from somewhere in here. Let's say I put the egg here. It's going to move it down and across to the corner. So I'm now executing at that bottom corner there. Okay. But then I want to execute it in the middle of the block. So I'm going to do positioned. And we'll just do bump, bump, bump. And we'll add 0.5 to that. And we'll add 0.5 to that. So we've gone from being aligned down here to adding 0.5, 0.5. So we're now executing here. What do I want to do though? I want to check if there is an entity there already. And I'm going to say if entity at E type equals interaction tag equals jar within a distance of less than 0.1. And we'll limit it to 1. And if there is, then I'm going to have to create a new file, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a function, and let me create a new function here, new file, failed placement. Okay, now I don't want to be in there. Let's go back to jar place at marker. So it's going to check on the square we're in already. Is there already an interaction there? If there is, then exit this function. Don't do anything else afterwards. But before you exit, run failed placement. Okay, let's pop over to failed placement. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to have to spawn a new egg, because when the player, if they're not in creative, they'll use their egg and the egg will disappear. So I'm going to have to give them back another one. But we'll save that for now. Give player a new egg, and I can put a little to do there. Okay, so we'll give the player a new egg. We'll come back to that later. But also the more important thing here is we want to kill that marker. We do not want to leave markers lying around the place. Type equals Minecraft. I should have started with marker. Tag equals jar place. Okay, so it's come into here. It said, right, there's a marker. I found it. There's already an interaction here. I'm going to go to failed placement. Failed placement is going to give us a new egg back and kill the marker that it found. That seems okay. If it wasn't a jar there, then let's continue in this function. So we need to summon a new jar. Execute. Align XYZ to take me to the corner of the block, the bottom corner. And then I'm going to run. Summon an interaction at those coordinates, but again I want it in the middle. I want my jars to be placed in the middle, not any old place. In the middle. And let's give it some tags. So we'll have tags, 1, 2 tags. Everything gets the jar tag, and this will be the jar interact. Okay, then let's come out of tags. I'm going to give it a width. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than my jar. My jar is going to be 0.6, so I'm going to do this as 0.61. And I'll give it a height. My jar is going to be 0.85 roughly, so let's just say 0.86. Well, that is not how you do it, 0.86. Okay. Now I want to give it some... If you click on it, I do want your arm to move. I want a little wiggly arm, so let's do response true. Let's just fill that up with a load of S's. Apparently I'm a snake. There we go, response true. And I want a list of passengers as well. Passengers. And there's our list of passengers. Okay, now we can split this line up. Copy. I'm going to have 2 passengers. 1, 2. And to make it a little bit easier for me to read, I'm just going to pop that in there, and then I'm going to put another one there, and I'm going to put another one there. And basically what these are doing, these are just saying to the Datapack, look, I know I've done a next line, but just treat all of this as one command. So it's just effectively going to ignore me pressing the enters. And that means I can have my passengers on separate lines, which I kind of like. So let's make a couple of passengers. That's why they're not happy. There's no information in there. Look, no ID, it says. I need an ID. Okay, ID. Minecraft, and I'm going to use the item display. Minecraft item display, and we'll give you some tags. And we're going to give you 2 tags. We might not use all these tags. You're going to have jar, and this will be the jar's body. Okay, what item do we want to use for that? Okay, the item will have an ID, and I am going to use glass bottle. Well, I'm going to use glass. You're not going to autofill it for me? Okay, I'll put the namespace in myself. Minecraft. Let's just check. Glass. Okay, you're happy there? Now we need the transformation information, and I'm going to put this actually maybe onto a separate line. Let's find out. Let's see what it looks like. Transformation. Open and close. We will have the left rotation, which will have as 0, 0, 0, 1. So that's all defaults. And then we'll have the right rotation 0, 0, 0, and 1, all defaults. And then I will have a scale, which for now we'll just set to the default 1, 1, 1. And I will have translation 0, 0, 0. Right, let's change the scale. Okay, I want it to be smaller than a full block. And what did I say? 0.6, I think. So let's do 0.6 on the X and the Z. And let's have its height at about 0.85. So it's translation to move it back to the center of the block. Well, let's just leave it like that and see what we get. Okay. And now let's copy everything inside there. Copy, and I'm going to put it in there. So now I've got 2 passengers, but this one is going to be jar lid, and I'm going to use a log of some sort. Let's use a spruce log. And I want this to be quite a bit smaller. So let's say its scale is 0.3, 0.3, and let's say 0.15, and I've not changed its translation either. Let's save that. We'll leave that. We're going to have to come back and do a couple of little changes with the translations and things. Right, so I've got a jar with a lid. Then I want to stick a fly inside that jar. So let's execute a line again on the XYZ. Run, summon a marker at those coordinates. Move it to the center of the block. And I'm also going to move it up a little bit as well. I don't want it stuck on the floor, so let's move it up a little bit into the jar. And we'll give it some tags. We'll call it jar. And we'll say it is the jar fly. Remember, this is what we're going to be running the particles at. So I should give it another tag as well, actually. Is it active or not? Let's spawn it active. Okay. So now we've done that. I want a light block. So let's set a block at those coordinates. And we'll just have a light. What level do I want? I don't know, maybe something like 10. Right, okay, why is that not happy? What have we done there? Set block light level 10. Because light, it's not colon 10, light equals 10. In fact, if I'd looked as I was typing that, I bet it would have told me. Or not. Oh, it does if I press the equals. Okay, there we go. Now we've put a light there. And then the last thing we want to do is kill the marker. The placement marker. So we'll do kill any entity type equals marker tag equals jar place. Save. Okay. So what are we doing? We're giving ourselves the egg. We put the egg down and that creates a marker with jar and jar place tags. Our tick function comes along. It ignores this because that's the interaction. It finds this and says, yes, I found a marker with the tag of jar. I'll go to process the marker. It goes to process marker tick. It ignores the first two because we haven't created the jar yet. And it comes down here and says, I found jar place. What should I do? I will run jar place at marker. First, it checks, is there already an interaction entity there? If there is, then I'm going to fail and give you an egg back and kill the marker. If there isn't, I'm going to create a jar. I'm going to create a little fly marker. I'm going to set a light block, and then I'll kill the jar. Okay, it sounds good, but does it work? Okay, does. Cool. So everything's there that we need. Now that's turned off, so that is our tick function running at the little fly, but obviously we can see we haven't aligned this properly, have we? So we need to raise the glass jar up a bit, and we need to raise the little lid up. It certainly seems to be centered okay though. Okay, let's make ourselves a little command here. Any entity, I think we'll just do type equals not player as a bit of a reset. Done. Boink. That should clear everything up. Let's just turn that on. Cool. Turn that back off again. Right, let's lift it up a bit. It was too far in the ground, so that's going to be probably a problem with our translation. Let's lift the lid up quite a bit. So translation for the lid, we are here. Translation, let's lift that up, let's say 0.9, quite high. And translation for the jar, looked like about half a block. I'm going to say 4.2, because I think I remember that being right. Let's go back. Reload. Whack down another jar. There we go. That looks all right. And we should have light. Time set midnight. Yeah, we've got light there. Okay, so obviously if we kill all interaction entities, we are not killing our light blocks. So if I give myself a light block, anyone will do, won't it? Let's put that on. Look, we didn't kill them. Okay. Right, we're getting there though. We're getting there. Back we go. Let's make it so we can turn the thing on and off. So let's close all these down. We don't need so many open. Oh, I've got a lot open, haven't I? Okay, so what we're worried about here, tick. Tick is calling our tick function. That's fine. Here's our tick function. Let's do our jar click detect. Okay, so let's go off to jar click detect. Jar click detect. Nothing in there yet. Okay, so first thing, we want to detect if it's a left click or a right click. So I will, now who are we running this as? Let's check our process marker. Not in there. Let's check our tick function. We are running as the interaction. Okay, so that should be all right. Let's do execute on target. So this will be checking for a right click. If you right click an interaction, you are its target. If you left click an interaction, you are its attacker. And that's how we're going to find out which we're doing. So we'll execute on target as any entity. But now this command is running as me. We don't want that. We're going to have to jump back. So type equals, do I need a bit more to get you to there we go, interaction. Tag equals jar interact. Because currently this bit of command here is running as me at the interaction. So we're going to use that at to get back to the original interaction entity. We'll say distance equals less than 0.1. Limit equals 1. At that. And we will run function. This is going to be the right click. And then I'm going to copy all of that. Control copy and paste it. Except instead of saying target, I'm going to say attacker. And instead of doing the right click, I'm going to do the left click. Okay, kind of feel happy with that. Let's go off to left click, and first thing I'm going to do, I'll start with right click. First thing I'm going to do is remove the data for the person who is clicking on the jar. So we will data remove from an entity at S, because we're now running as the jar interaction, and I'm going to remove is interaction information. It's going to forget me. Now, if I wanted to use that later on, I would want to delete it at the end, but I don't need it later, so it can now forget me. It doesn't matter that it was me that clicked on it. What it's going to do now, though, is it's going to say right click. Okay, let's save that. And then I'm going to open left click, and I'm going to copy all of this. Copy. And I'm going to go into the left click function. But I'm not removing the interaction this time. I'm going to be removing the attack. And I'm going to say left click. Save. Let's go back and cross our fingers. Let's pop down a little jar. And then I'm going to punch it. Aha! Left click, left click, left click. And I right click, right click, right click. Cool. Okay. That's good. Which one should we do first? Let's do toggling the light. So that would be our right click. I want to toggle the light. So we're going to need a scoreboard to save its state, I think. So let's go to load, and in here, scoreboard, objectives, add, state, dummy. That's going to save whether the light is on or off, 0 or 1. Okay, right click. What we will do is so we've removed the interaction, that's fine. Let's toggle that score, execute, store result as a score for yourself, for your state. If score for yourself state matches 0. So that's our standard score toggle. So if we come here and our score is 0, it'll say, does your score equal 0? And we'll say yes. So we'll get a 1. Or do we want this to be a success? Store success or store result? No, store result. I think result is fine. So this will toggle between the two. Right. So if we come in and it's 0, it's going to say, yeah, it does match it 0, put a 1 in there. And if it comes in, if it's 1, it'll say, no, it doesn't, and it'll put a 0 in there. So toggle, toggle, toggle. We want sounds, so let's play a sound. I don't know what sound. You know what I'm going to use? My standard, my go-to. We'll use the amethyst block. Let's use something different, resonate. I can't even remember what that sounds like. I'm going to play it on the block channel because the jar is sort of like a block for all players at those coordinates. Normal pitch, normal volume. Let's raise the pitch a bit. Minimum volume is 0, so it gets quieter as you walk away. Now I need to turn the light off. So I'll do execute if score at S state matches 0, run tag any entity whose type equals marker. So what we're going for is the little jar fly. Tag equals jar fly. Distance equals, now he's raised up by about 0.35, wasn't he? So we better take that into account and say distance equals less than 4. Limit equals 1. And I'll remove his active tag. Okay. And then I will execute if score at S state matches 0, and I'm going to do run, return, run, set block at those coordinates, air. So if we get this far and state is 0, we will remove the active tag from the jarfly. We will exit the function, but just before we exit the function, we will run set block. So we should put an air block there. Now, if it gets this far, if we get down to here, we'll assume that state must have equaled 1, because otherwise we wouldn't be in the function anymore. So if state is equal to 1, what we'll do, can we just copy all this tag here? Control copy. we will tag the marker. So this time we're going to add active. And this time we better put a light. So let's do set block light level equals 10. Save. I feel happy with it. Let's have a little look. We remove the fact that I interacted with it. Yes. Then we toggle its current state. And we play a sound. If its state is 0, we remove the active tag. If its state is 0, we get rid of the light and exit the function. If it makes it this far, its state must have been 1, in which case we give it the active tag and we set the light. Okay, off we go. Let's go for a reload. Okay, we've turned it off. And let's have a quick look back here. You remember in our process marker tick, we have the two different commands. If it's active, we do green dust. If it's inactive or doesn't have the active tag, we do black dust. So now that's come into effect. So we can now ping this on and off. Right, can I put another one down? Yes, I can. No problem there. What happens if I try to put one down on top of this? Let's do execute as... Actually, let's do a better way of doing it. Let's go into our failed placement and we'll say have an egg back. Save. Let's go back and try that. So now if I try and put an egg in the same square, have an egg back. Okay, so it's given me an egg back. It hasn't because we haven't set that up yet. Cool. Okay, we've got jars that we can turn on and off. Right, enough of that. Let's go back. What's next then? I would say breaking the jar. So if we break the jar, that's going to be a left click. So let's get rid of failed placement. Now, do we want to keep any of this stuff here? Probably not. Let's start again. Let's go to jar, click left. First thing we've done is we've made it forget that it was me that clicked on it because we don't need that. I'm not using it. Okay, and then we better remove the light, so we can just do that. Set block air. Now there's no light there. Let's play a sound as well. Play a sound. Probably glass breaking would be a good one for that since it's a glass jar. Block glass. Oh, we do have it. There it is. Play it on the block channel for all players. At those coordinates, and we'll just normal volume, normal pitch, minimum volume is 0. Let's do a block part. Let's do some particles as well of glass sort of coming out as well. Let's do particle block open and close. Block state. Is block state, isn't it? I'm sure it is. Minecraft glass. It seems happy. Okay. At those coordinates. Let's lift them up a little bit. We don't want to be playing in the ground. Let's lift it up a bit. Let's say 0.5. What size? 0.15, 0.15, 0.15. If it's too small, we'll make it bigger. Speed of 0. A count of quite high. Let's say about 80. And force or normal. Well, it defaults to normal, so let's not put that there. And then here, let's save that. In our failed placement, we had to give the player a new egg. Let's copy that and put it here as well. Give the player a new egg. Say, have a new egg. Copy and failed placement. Have an egg back. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so we can test that. Now, if I punch this thing, it should reset the whole lot. Have an egg back. But why is it still saying there? That's interesting. Okay, well, problem is I don't think we're killing all the stuff. Failed left click. We're setting the block, yeah. we're not removing the display entities or the interaction entity. So let's do that. Anywhere in here, doesn't really matter. Let's put it in the middle. We will kill any entity whose tag equals jar, whose sort equals nearest, and how many are there? So we've got the fly. So we've got the fly, that's 1. We've got the interaction, that's 2. And we've got the jar body and the jar lid, that's 4. Limit equals 4. Let's save that. Let's go back, do a reload. And let's give you a punch. And it did say have a new egg, so it should give me an egg back. Okay, let's turn this on just to make sure we haven't got any little particles lying around. Now this one's obviously not happy because we punched it and we broke it. There we go, we fixed it again. Cool. Okay. Okay, so I would say the next thing to do probably now is let's get a loot table to give ourselves a new egg. We could run the give function, but now let's make a loot table. Let's make a loot table for it. So let's go over to Misode, because I've got a loot table. Look, as if by magic, it's already here. I was planning on doing it. Okay, so we're only going to have one item. We're going to have rolls 1. Let's have a look what we've got. Rolls 1, entries, type, item, stone. Let's change this stone into a slime spawn egg. Okay, that feels all right. And I want to do some functions on it. Functions. Set count? No, I want to set your components. Oh, it's right there. Set components. Okay, and I want to set your entity data. Whoa, look at all that stuff. I think I'll just start typing it. That might be easy. Entity. That's a lot small. Entity data. Add that. In here, I want to say that you are a marker. Minecraft marker. And we also want to add some extra stuff. And I don't think we can do it through Misode. So we're going to have to do a bit of editing. But that's okay for now. So we've done one set component. I want to set a name as well. So let's add another function to set name. Doodly doodly doo. Where's set name? Set name. Okay. And what do we want to set the name to? What I might do is just placeholder. Placeholder. So we're setting its name to placeholder. That seems okay. Now down in the right hand corner we've got the copy button. Let's copy that. Let's go back. And now let's make our loot table. Okay. So in our namespace, create a new folder, loot table, and in loot table we'll create a new file, which we'll call fairy jar. I don't know, it's a firefly jar or a fairy jar. Fairyjar.json, and we will do a paste. Now, seems happy, but I do want to change a few things. So, one of the things I want to change is I want it to have the same name as our give egg. So what here we've got, let's copy all of that. Color gold text fairy jar, copy. And let's go to placeholder. And I'm going to copy that on top. Boink. Okay. It still seems happy. That's nice. And here in ID, so here we've got entity data. We've got an ID, but I'm also going to add comma because we're adding another line. In here, tags. What tags do I want to add? Open and close the square. I'm going to add 1, 2 tags. It's definitely going to have the jar tag. And it's the jar place tag, isn't it? Let's save that. Okay, it seems happy. Let's close give egg. So we've got here to do give the player a new egg if it's a failed placement. Okay, let's go there and do loot give at S. Who is this running at? That is a question there. We don't want to give it to anyone. Let's spawn it. Loot spawn at these coordinates. So we're spawning it at the interaction. Loot ID fairy jar. Okay. Let's copy that. Copy, and we'll get rid of that to do because it is to done. And we'll go to left click and we'll do it here as well. We'll paste that in there and we'll save that. We will cross our fingers. We will go back. We will reload. Okay. Now, if I was in survival, if I put one down, I lose my egg. Okay. We can turn it on and off. Now, if I break it, aha. Okay, I've got one. And I can put it down again. Cool. Now, what I'm going to do is function give egg. Do they stack? They don't stack, so there must be a little bit of a difference between them. Does it matter too much? Not really, because the give egg is just sort of an admin one where we're using for test, so we're not going to be really using it anymore. But let's do selected item, and let's see if we can spot Y. So that's one egg, and that's the other egg. Now I can see the difference there. Our one egg has item name, the other egg has custom name. Okay, so let's look at our give egg function. And we'll see that we're setting the item name, and our loot table is setting the custom name. So if we just change that there to custom name, save, pop back, reload. Let's run the give egg function again. It's stacked with that one. Run it again, stacks with that one. Okay, let's put one down. Let's break that. We got another one, and it stacks with that one. Okay, so we fixed that. Let's move you away. You're the broken one. So that's working. Now, what about if we put one down and we try to put another one on top of it? It just gives us the egg back. So that seems to be working. Nice. Now I can play with it. Okay, so I'd say we're sort of on the way to being finished. But if you were a player, how do you get your first egg? I mean, you could find them. So let's add some extra stuff as well. Why not? I know this is long, but you can always watch it in installments. Let's go back. And let's say, well, let's make a recipe. Okay, so misode. Let's switch to recipe generator. Here we are. We'll say crafting shaped. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to have some keys. So I'm going to have a glass block. Add that as a key. I'm going to have a wooden lid. So let's just do W for that, for wooden lid. Add that one. And I'm going to have some glowstone dust. Let's add that one. Did I add it? No. Glowstone dust. Okay, so G, you are going to be glass. W, you are going to be... I'm not going to use an item. I'm going to say you can use any wooden log. Minecraft logs. There we go. So any log will work. So you have to use glass block, any log, and then this one will be a glowstone dust. That seems all right. Okay. I don't know why it's not updating my little picture up in the corner, but doesn't really matter. We probably haven't given it a pattern yet. That might be why. So we've got the items we're going to use. Let's make a pattern. So on the top, I'm going to have air, wooden log, air, and then I'm going to have glass. Oh, have I got two G's? Have I got? I haven't got a name for my glowstone dust. we need a D for that. Okay, how do we fix that? I know I can just delete it, add D and add one, and then put glowstone dust. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to have glass, dust, glass. Let's make a new one. And the bottom is going to be blank, glass, blank. Hey, there's our recipe. Okay, so that'll make our fairy jar. And the result. What are we going to give them back? We're going to give them a slime spawn egg. Yep. And it's going to have some components. We were using custom name, so let's do that one. Custom name, add that. I'll do my usual put placeholder in there. It's going to need, it's going to need entity data as well. Entity data, put that. It will be Minecraft marker. And we'll have to add some extra stuff. Okay, I don't see... there's your name. Your name is there. Okay, that looks all right. Let's copy that. Copy. Let's go back to VS Code. Let's go to our namespace. Inside our namespace, we will create a new folder, which we will say is recipe. And inside recipe, a new file, which we'll say is fairyjar.json. And we'll paste that in. And we'll see if we've got some problems. First thing, I want to add those tags. So if we look at our loot table, I can probably just copy our tags from our loot table. Let's go back and paste them in. Okay, so now the entity data has got ID and tags. Let's go back to our loot table. Can we copy our name? Now, I don't think the name is going to be happy. So let's remove placeholder. Bang. And it's not happy. What we're going to have to do there is escape some stuff. First thing, we'll put speech marks around the whole thing. Next is we are going to have to escape the speech marks that are inside. That one, that one, that one, that one. And as we move our way along, you'll see it's getting happier and happier. That one and that one. And we're done. So we should now have a recipe for it. Let's go back. Let's reload. Now I probably don't know the recipe. We'll need a crafting table. So crafting, let's get one of those. We'll need glass blocks. We'll need any type of log. And we'll need some glowstone dust. We'll pop this down. Let's have a look. I don't know the recipe. Can I? Am I allowed to guess? I am allowed to guess. It's not going to show up in my book, but I have. There's my fairy jar. Now, if I left click that, and it does stack with our others, so that's nice. Okay. So we can now craft it. One more thing. I know this is a long one. One more thing. Let's make it so a player who's playing in the world by themselves, they can learn the recipe. Let's go over to Misode. Let's pop off to our advancement. And let's make a new advancement. And this will be triggered by an inventory change. We'll make a nice simple little one here. And we'll just say, okay, items. Have you picked up a glowstone dust? That's all we're going to say, nothing else. If you have picked up a glowstone dust, we're going to reward you with a recipe, and the recipe is just going to be placeholder. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go over here. We're going to go to our namespace, create a new folder, add, advance. My brain has frozen trying to write the word advancement. A new file, which we'll call fairy jar recipe advancement. We'll paste all of that in there. Now, our recipe is called fairy jar. So that is going to be ID. Oh, there we go. It's already found it for me. Fairy jar. Save that. Okay, back we go. This should be the last thing. Hopefully it works. Let's get myself a chest. Let's pop. We'll keep those. Let's pop a chest down. Let's put all those items in the chest. That looks all right. Let's clear. Let's recipe. Take from me everything. Let's look in here. I don't know how to craft it. I'm in the nether. I find myself a piece of... Did I press reload? Omni Morris is watching me. I find a piece of glass and some spruce logs. That does nothing. I find glowstone dust. It goes in my inventory and absolutely nothing happens at all. Okay. So that's interesting. Why did it not grant us the recipe? What did we do wrong? Let's have a little look. Criteria. Now, did I spell advancement right? Advancement. I'm pretty sure I did. Criteria, requirement, trigger, conditions, items, yes. Items, glowstone, dust, yeah. Rewards, a recipe. Fairy jar. Okay. It's right at the end where strange things happened. It's always the way, isn't it? Why is it not happy? Right, I definitely only wrote advancement, not advancements. Maybe we already have the advancement. This is something that's always worth checking. Let's put that back because it's only working on that. Can we do advancement, revoke, for me, only ID fairy. Aha, so I probably already had the advancement. So now I'm a new player coming into the world and we have our fingers crossed. This thing's caught me out with advancements many times. I'm like, why can't I get it to work? And it's because I already had it while testing. So let's pick up the glowstone dust. It's not in my inventory yet. When it hits my inventory, new recipes unlocked. And there's the fairy jar. I click on it and it shows me the recipe. Now, I might not have even discovered spruce logs or glass yet. This is only checking to see if I've discovered glowstone dust. But if someone was playing this data pack, they would now get the glowstone dust. They would go, oh, I can make a fairy jar. Oh, okay. Well, I know what glass and spruce log is. That's fine. Does it show us other alternative versions? Doesn't seem to. Can we use something else instead of spruce logs? Because we did say any log. So can we use our oak logging instead? Yes, we can. Cool. And we've crafted one. We can put it down. We can turn it off. We can turn it on. We can punch it to get another one. Cool. Right. Let's not waffle. We're done. Sorry, that was a rather long one. But hopefully you enjoyed it. A little bit of a play around. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.